Good morning, oh dearest audience of mine. I'm here to tell you about a game that is very near to my heart. This game is called Gwent, and by the end of my speech, you're going to know what that means. I've played Gwent since its debut in The Witcher 3, and believe it or not, when Gwent became a standalone game, I used to be ranked 826th in the entire world. This may not seem like such a great accomplishment to you, but to put it into perspective, I have a friend of mine who's typically very good at video games, and he was ranked around 79,000 at the same time I was ranked 826th. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that this speech is going to have any significance in your life or anything, but if it's something you're interested in, I encourage you to listen. Even though you've probably never heard of it, Gwent's one of the greatest card games ever created. Many people agree with that. And during this speech, I'm going to attempt to explain what Gwent is, how to play Gwent, and how to create a deck. Alright, I'm going to begin with explaining what Gwent is, and I'm going to touch on the history of Gwent while I'm at it. Gwent is a card game in the world of The Witcher. The Witcher was originally a book series written by famous Polish author Andrzej Sapkowski. Probably butchered his name, but it's impossible to pronounce. It was later adapted into a successful video game franchise created by Polish company CD Projekt Red. In the latest installment of the Witcher series, The Witcher 3, Gwent was introduced as a card game that could be played in-game, and people liked Gwent so much that they made it into its own game, which is currently in beta. Now I'm going to attempt to explain how to play Gwent. A game of Gwent consists of 3 rounds in which you attempt to get a higher combined strength than your opponent. To win a game of Gwent, you have to win 2 rounds. At the beginning of the game, you randomly draw 10 cards, and you may redraw up to 3 of them. In Gwent, there are 2 different types of cards, special cards and unit cards. Unit cards are the meat of your deck, and when you play a unit card, it stays on the field until taken out or until the round ends. Unit cards each have an assigned base strength which adds to your combined strength, and they usually have an ability of some sort. Special cards do not have a base strength nor do they stay on the field, but they tend to have powerful effects that usually differ from the effects of unit cards. Gwent is a turn-based game, and whenever it's your turn, you either have to play a card or pass. Keep in mind that you're not always drawing cards, so if your opponent has more cards in his hand than you do, you're in trouble. If you do not want to play any more cards in the current round, you may pass. When you pass, you may no longer play cards, and the round continues until both players have passed. Once both players have passed, the player with the highest combined strength wins the round. One of the most important parts about Gwent is to have a good deck. When you start the game, there should be 5 starter decks to choose from, but they're all garbage and I wouldn't use them. First step in building a deck is to pick a faction. You can choose to play as one of 5 factions: the Northern Realms, the Nilfgaardians, Scoia'tael, Skellige, or Monster faction. These factions each have different cards in them and they do different things, so choose carefully when making a deck. The next step is choosing a leader card. Leader cards, you always start with your leader card, and they usually have a unique effect. Each faction has 3 leader cards to choose from. After choosing a leader card, you must fill your deck with other cards. When you're required to have at least 25 cards, and you must have no more than 40 cards. Each Gwent card has an assigned ranking: bronze, silver, and gold. You can have as many bronze cards in your deck as you please. You can only have 6 silver cards and 4 gold cards. In my experience, the less cards you have in your deck, the better off you are. I also recommend having a 2-to-1 ratio of unit and special cards. It does not have to be exact, but you should have at least twice as many unit cards as you do special cards. Having a hand with all special cards is like eating a meal with no meat. By that, of course, I mean it is terrible. Well, that's about all I have to say about Gwent. You know, you've probably never heard of it. It's one of the greatest card games out there. Many people would agree with that. So, yeah, that's about all the time I have to talk about this. If Gwent seems interesting to you, don't be put off by my terrible speech-giving skills. You should definitely check it out.